you're here. Yeah, we're so glad you're here. Oh, we're so glad to be together in unity.
Who? Allie Barron. Yes, it's good to see Allie Barron. It's good to see all of you here this morning. So we don't have to go through the welcome because everyone has been here before and knows how this thing works.
How many have been here before? All right, we welcome you. You're all welcome. Okay, well, today we're going to continue on our series, The 5 Unity Principles. How many understand that the principles are universal, okay? They're not something that Unity made up. So, I like that. I like that. But how does the universe really work, right? And so this is one of those principles that is very interactive. I mean, like an interactive reality, because it is. It's very interactive. What you put out is what you get back. Make sense? You reap what you sow. And so this principle is the idea of thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Right? This is the law of creation. But we're going to come at it from every year we like to talk about the principles and talk about how that we can apply them to different areas in our lives and apply them in a way that can be very beneficial for us. And so we're using MLK, Martin Luther King Jr., some of his quotes, and it's actually tomorrow is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So in Unity, we teach about a world that works for everybody, right? A world that works for everybody. That's where we're headed. That is the whole intentionality of the universal presence that we call God. If you look in the book of Genesis, there are 7 days that it talks about, and on the 7th day, God rested and said, oh, it's good. How many know that we're in that day? People talk about the last days. Well, we're in the day and the time and the moment where we're going to experience a movement into heaven on earth. How many are up for that? How many are down with it? Isn't it amazing that those two phrases mean the same thing?
The same thing. So let's start with, we decided that we were going to term this series of talks this year the Invisible Agreements, because we wanted to explore how there are unseen contracts that shape our lives and shape our world. We may be aware of them and we may not. But these are agreements that are in place that we didn't consciously sign, but beliefs, ideas, perceptions that we inherited, and assumptions about things that we keep reenacting over and over. And the first principle, God is, we understood, we explored the idea that God is the underlying principle of all life, and that underlying principle is good. God is good. There's no duality in God. God is good. And then the second agreement we talked about last week is that we are part of that divine beingness. That potential resides within. That's what we are. And that means that we inherently within our internal selves are good. We are good when we're taught as children that we're sinful, that we're bad, that we're, and we're shamed, that is not the truth. That's one of those assumptions, one of those fallacies of thought that we buy into and we carry throughout our lives that affects us in a negative way. We are good, we are part of God, and we want to learn to express from that goodness. This morning, maybe the most powerful agreement of all is this idea, as you were saying, that what we hold in mind individually and collectively becomes what we experience. So many times we approach this third principle thinking about how it applies to me, right? I manifest what's going on in my life. I create what I see going on in my life, my individual experiences, my prosperity, my health, right? This morning we're going to look at it, since it is MLK Jr. Day tomorrow, look at it from, okay, I claim those things and I create for myself, but how do I do that collectively across the board so that we can create a world that works for everyone? Become, that what we hold in mind, we experience. Right?
Yeah. So, unity teaches in this principle thoughts that we hold. It's not the fleeting thoughts that go through your mind. Those don't manifest. Those are just fleeting. It's just, the movement of thoughts going through your head. How many ever have weird thoughts sometimes? Okay, right back there. All right. Somebody talk to him afterwards.
Thank you for being honest.
No, I'm just kidding. So all of us have weird thoughts. We have crazy thoughts that pass through our minds. It's like a bird can land on your head, but you don't have to let it build a nest there, right? And it's the same way with our thinking. When we have a thought, if you meditate on it and you think about it and you become obsessed with that thought, then it will begin to show up in your life. And everyone you see will begin to reflect that back to you. So, we realize, we sang the 5 principle song a while ago. God is, I am, I create. You and I, we are creative beings. Isn't that wonderful? Mm. I am a creator in the image of divinity. And what is divinity? It is spirit, intelligence. It is a force. It is the source. It is God. And that's all there is. That's all there is God. So anything that is made from the substance of divinity. And if that's true, then that means I am the substance of God. I am the Spirit of God. Now, the human part is a temporary illusion. Say with me, illusion.
Illusion.
Right? It's a dream that we're having. We're just dreaming each other, How many know all this stuff is temporary? It doesn't last. Have you found that out? Mm-hmm. How long have you had that car? Have you had it long enough for the tires to wear out yet? Do you have to change the oil in it? Does it get rusty after a while? Right? How about your house? You build a beautiful new house and it's so wonderful, right? And it's like this building here. We built it in 2009. And then all of a sudden, all the lights started going out. After 10 years. One section over here went out, so we replaced those. Then the next week, another section went out. And then we replaced those. You know what I mean? And so that is kind of the way of this world. Everything changes Don't get used to it, right? Don't get used to the way things are right now because they will change. That's the only, and that's a law that you can depend on. Everything will change, right? So these invisible agreements shape visible reality. That's where reality comes from. It's from the spiritual, from the spirit, from the source, from the one force, the one source.
Yeah. So everything that exists was first a thought held in mind.
Yeah.
It was a thought held in mind. Now we think about, okay, the chair. Yeah, somebody dreamed up the idea of the chair. It was a thought held in mind, and then it was created. The table, it was a thought held in mind, and it was created.
And Ron created it.
That's right. He had an idea, and he created it. But also, because we think that creation happens out there, we have to bring that same understanding about thought held in mind to our economics, to our institutions, our systems, our politics. But every single system began as an idea. It began as an idea that enough people agreed to believe in and to participate in, that it took hold and became a thing, right? We have the monetary system that we have because we got tired of dealing with shells and beads and, trading this and that. So we created a monetary system that we all bought into and said, yes, this is so that we have that. It was a thought held in mind first.
Yeah. So a negative invisible agreement sounds like this. That's just the way it is. You ever heard that one? Some people deserve more than others. And after all, there isn't enough to go around. Have you heard that one? Or, so you think you can change? That's so unrealistic. You can't change. You're stuck. The person you are, you're always going to be that. Shake your head with me. Right? When enough people hold the same beliefs, it becomes normalized and eventually institutionalized. At first, somebody comes up with a new idea and we go, that's awful, that's terrible, we don't need that. Then after a while, it becomes normal. And after that, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But we created it.
Yeah.
We made it that way. We collectively bought into something that someone, maybe a group of people, said, this is how it ought to be. Yeah. And Dr. King, he understood that. He said that we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Boy, he was poetic. Isn't that a great quote?
It is.
But he understood that injustice is not a legal problem. How many know you can make a law about something, doesn't mean that people are going to follow it? Say it with me. Oh. How many know it's not a legal problem, it's a consciousness problem? It's a consciousness problem. How many know you have a thinking problem? We all have a thinking problem.
Yeah. So, when those fleeting thoughts come through our mind, they're neutral. It's not until we take one and we begin to feed upon it and focus on it and give it our attention that it becomes not neutral, right? So Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore said, thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. and they produce after their kind. So thoughts are not passive, they're creative agreements. If we collectively agree in fear, then we create division. If we collectively agree to dignity, then we can create justice and oneness. What do we collectively hold in mind that we're creating? Dr. King did not try to destroy the old systems of hatred or force. He changed the agreement. He was working to change the agreement beneath them. Nonviolent approach is what he used, just like the monks. How many heard about the monks that are walking for peace right now, right? They were just in Colombia, I think, last week or the week before, right? It's focusing on what we want, holding in mind what it is and picturing what it is that we want. This is how the law of creativity works. When we say, yeah, I affirm a world of peace that works for everyone, and then we're off to the next thing, we're not really giving that life, are we? It's what we're holding in our mind, what we're picturing collectively that we're creating. Martin Luther King also said, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. So we can't meet darkness with darkness. We have to infuse it with the light of our being, the light of presence. And light's not just, it's not louder darkness. We don't get louder about the darkness. That's not what light is. Light is a new agreement. It's about creating something new. If we just get louder about the things that are not working and the darkness, that's not doing a whole lot of good. I was kidding with Farah this morning, and I said, how are you? And she said, good, and how are you? And I said, well, I could complain about stuff, but what good would it do, right? I can complain about stuff. There's plenty of stuff to complain about, but that only adds to the darkness. That only adds to the issue, the problem. Let's create something and bring light to things that are in darkness, that we consider to be darkness, by creating new agreements. Light is the Christ presence, and that is an eternal quality. It's eternal. Darkness comes and goes. It fluctuates. It dims, it darkens, right? Light is the constant, eternal quality.
I was listening to one of the monks when they were in Colombia, and they were being interviewed. Well, that was on YouTube. I guess it was an interview. I don't know. But anyway, the monk was talking, and there were like 10,000 people that showed up in Colombia just to watch these guys walk through town. Now, why did they do that? Why did they do that? Because there was a belief. There was an understanding. There was an underlying truth and principle. And this is what the monk said. He said, we decided that we were going to do this walk of peace and see the world begin to change and become more peaceful. Right? Mm-hmm. Isn't that great? It's just like when Great Britain was kind of in control of a lot of places. And this little monk said, well, I'm going to fast. And in the fasting, we're going to see the world change. They said, well, how? And he just made that intention. He just made that statement. He made that declaration. And that's what he did. And so in Great Britain, whenever they heard about him fasting, oh no. And they because they bought into it too. They believed in what he was doing because they knew that other people also believed in what he was doing. And so we can't let him die or he'll become a martyr and we'll lose all of our power. Right? And he stood up against them by just making this intention, I'm going to fast. I'm just not going to eat till things change. Mm-hmm. Isn't that something? Mm-hmm. And out of that, the British Empire pulled back and said, nope, nope, nope. You know, we're going to recognize India and we're going to allow them to just be their own country. You know, isn't that something? He was able to do that. And Gandhi, you know, of course, we've all heard the name Gandhi, you know. It's fascinating. So we're moving from, sometimes we have to move from the individual creation to a collective co-creation. We can't forget that we all have these agreements, these invisible agreements. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes, you know, as Leah was saying earlier, you know, we only are focused on personal manifestation. How many know that's good?
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, the source wants to take care of us. But it needs to go from there. And we need to think collectively, right? We need to think about each other, the care and concern for each other. Because the law of creation expands outward, and it's circular. As you give, then you receive, right? So it is a giving and it is a receiving. That's what it's all about. Jesus taught us, he said, give us this day our what? Daily bread. How many know that you only need to be concerned about what you're eating right now? And how you're living right now. Focus on that. Be what? Grateful for that. Be grateful for what you have instead of for what you don't have. That's what's called stinking thinking. When you're always talking about, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that, I can't do this, I can't. Stop it. Say it with me. Stop it. Right? And just say, thank you for my daily bread. Do you have enough in this moment? Are you happy now? Right? Yeah. Because whatever you do with your mind will take you places. And some places it takes you, you probably don't want to go. Right?
Yeah, and you know, by working on our individual things that we're manifesting in our lives, when we're holding on and affirming our own prosperity, our own health, our own emotional health, spiritual health, all those things, it comes back to that when you feel better, you do better, right? So when you are in good space and you are feeling good in your life, then it's easier to extend that out to the collective, to the whole. So it's important for us to use our creative power to manifest and create things for ourselves. And in that, then, it becomes the rippling pond effect, where I begin to affect others around me, and then that goes out, and that goes out, and then we're collectively creating. So it's not an either or, it's a both. We do it both at the individual level and at the collective level. And I love that what Dr. King said when he said, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Because we're a collective.
We are part of
we're all
the
part of each
same.
Other.
We are connected. This is back to our first and second principles, right? That we are all a connected, universal, spiritual body. We live in individual containers, but we are one. And
That's
so
right.
what hurts you hurts me. What blesses you blesses me. So I want justice and unconditional love and peace for all in this great cosmic soup, right? Because we're all experiencing it together.
You know, it's kind of like an orchestra where there are certain, maybe one instrument is being used. Let's say the trombone.
Boom, 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 boom. That, yeah,
Right.
okay.
And that's the only instrument that you hear. The trombone is what it's all about. But have you ever tried to listen to a concert of a trombone? You know, wah, 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 you know. A trombone concert just doesn't work, right? Because what do you need? You need an orchestra in order to have some beautiful music. And when the orchestra plays in harmony together, it's wonderful, isn't it? It's like the first time the high school band gets together, and you've got everybody's really excited. You know, I'm going to play the oboe, I'm going to play the flute, I'm going to play the drums, I'm going to play this, I'm going to play that. And then you listen to it and it's going, let me out of here, right? Because it takes time to master that. It takes time to what? Get in the flow of it. The first time you do something, you know, people expect perfection the first time. Say it with me. Forget about it. Right? You've got to stay with it. You've got to keep working at it. You've got, you know, you learn how. If you would have heard me speak the first year, you would say, I don't think I want to listen to that guy ever again. Possibly. Because I was learning. I was growing. I was trying, you know, to be this speaker, and anyway, I learned. You learn after a while. You learn. It's like playing the guitar. You don't pick it up and suddenly got it. It takes time. It takes practice, doesn't it? That's the way with life.
I'm going to back up and soothe the ruffles of all of our trombone playing friends.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
The trombone is a beautiful instrument on its own.
Absolutely.
Right? It's a beautiful instrument on its own, but what happens when you bring in, you know, the music? So the music of the trombone by itself can sound
I was just using that as an
distorted.
example.
I know. It can sound, but I'm just relating it. It can sound distorted. It can sound thin. It can sound lonely. It can sound incomplete. But when you bring in the cello and you bring in the flute and you start bringing in the other pieces, then it's something that's full and rich and interesting and has a lot of depth to it. And that's just like every voice, every culture, every story coming together and creating something that we all want to hear and be a part of and express in the orchestra of life. So you can be a trombone. It's fine.
That's
and
right.
you're a beautiful trombone.
Yes. You know, we've heard recently we had it's been a few months, but we had a jazz trio, I believe, that was here, and one of them was a trombone player, and he would play these beautiful, you know, solos and riffs, and
Gorgeous.
it was amazing. And he was he's spontaneous. He just had the rhythm and the flow, but it was the drums. And it was the bass.
It was a quartet.
That's right. It was a quartet. And so it was all the other instruments that held the background so that the trombone could be featured. And it sounded he made it sound really, really good. And I thought, man, that's the best trombone I've ever heard.
It
you
was
know,
really
it was
great,
really good.
yeah.
So,
So the invisible agreement of separation. This is the one that's probably causing most of our issues. It's one of the most dangerous invisible agreements, and it's the belief that we're just all separate. We're just all separate individuals, and from this agreement comes racism, economic inequality, exclusion, indifference, inhumanity, brutality. So Dr. King had a wonderful expression. He named the antidote to these things, and he named it the beloved community. And this is a society rooted in care, justice, and a shared sense of well-being. Kind of like our beloved community here on a global level, right? We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools, he said. The law of creation is clear. What we believe about who belongs determines what we build together. When we otherize, when we demonize, when we set apart from ourselves any person, group, we are actively participating in that separation, and we are adding to the problem.
The planet has already decided who belongs. Right? If you exist, you're supposed to be here. Isn't that great? If you exist, that means that the divinity believes in you. And if divinity didn't believe in you, you wouldn't exist. Take a breath of that. Nature also models this truth effortlessly. The sun shines on all of us. Isn't that great? How many understand that there are, in reality, what we see as a sunset or sunrise is an illusion. It's an optical illusion. In reality, the sun always shines. It's always shining. Isn't that wonderful? It's always shining. How many know that rivers flow without checking in with their unworthiness? Am I really worthy to flow as a river? They don't do that, do they? No, they just flow. A river just does what a river does. All of our ecosystems thrive through cooperating together, right? Working together. It's not about, competing with each other. My river's better than your river. All right? Nature doesn't think that way. Nature says, how can we work together in support of this beautiful planet? Yeah. Right? In support of each other. And that is what we're here to do. When the systems collapse, it's not because there's not enough, it's because that fear has interrupted the circulation. Because as long as the river is flowing, the river of abundance, the river of life, as long as it's flowing, all of our needs will be met. But the land has to be left alone every once in a while. If you try to overproduce with land, you run into problems. The Hebrews had it figured out. Every 7 years, they would let the land lie fallow. Right? And not plant that year. Not do anything. Just let it firm up. Let the minerals begin to, deepen. And let nature take its course. And then they would go back. And it would be even better. And it's the same way with the oceans. How many know that there is a possibility that we could overfish the oceans? So as caretakers of this planet, we need to make sure that we leave it alone sometimes and allow the lobsters to cohabitate together, right? And allow the fish and everything that's there. Because, you know, we're living at a time where you can get just about everything you want at your front door. Have you noticed that? Whether it's in season or not. And I look at that and I say, well, that's a good thing, but it's also can be a challenge.
For our planet.
For our planet, right? We don't want to overfish the oceans and have the oceans collapse. Because, see, there's this beautiful, wonderful way that the oceans work, that the planet works. It all feeds into this system, feeds into that system, that feeds into that system, that feeds into that system, right? I was looking up the other day because I wanted to know, what purpose does a fly have? A fly. And why is it that they're always attracted to little piles of whatever?
Crap.
If you get my drift. And you know why? Because flies, they pull minerals. And they pull nutrients from that. They have the kind of system to where, ooh, that's great. We love it. And they're also pollinators. And so are mosquitoes. If you ever wonder what a mosquito's for, they're pollinators too. How many know that everything serves a purpose? And they also serve as food for other organisms. Do you see how all this works? Mm-hmm. Right? It all works together in this beautiful river of abundance that you and I get to live in. And all we have to do is cooperate with it, work with it. They're discovering new things now in nature that actually work better than many of the medicines that we have. They're discovering processes and the ways that nature works is very healing. Nature knows what it's doing. Because it's the nature of divinity. That's what it really is.
So in closing, our opportunity this week, what we're looking at for this week, our invitation, is not to try to fix the world, but to change the agreements that exist beneath it. So we could ask ourselves this week, what assumptions about people am I holding? What outdated beliefs, what perceptions have I held on to that are no longer serving me about other people? What future for our planet am I silently agreeing is impossible? What would change if I truly believed, that we are one and that dignity and justice is universal?
All is sacred. That all is sacred. All is sacred. See, when those monks, when they meditate, they're closing down their minds and they're tapping in to the sacredness of life, right?
Yeah.
Not the judgment, the criticalness, the jealousies, the envies, the fears, all of that stuff. How many know that's petty, right? That's grade school level. Yeah. But it's time for us as a people in the world to grow up and to mature
Yeah.
and to think about more than just ourselves. Right?
Yeah. So, in honor of Martin Luther King Jr., whom we remember tomorrow, he said, I have a dream. I have a dream. And I think it would be great if we could come to an agreement to try to fulfill that dream. And one of the things he said is true peace is not merely the absence of tension, it's the presence of justice. And then finally, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?
Let us breathe together. There's something that happens to many of the astronauts when they travel into outer space. They have what's called the overview effect. And I'd like to invite you now to imagine yourself out in space. And then looking back at the Earth, and what do you see? There are no boundaries. There's no fences, no nations. It's all just one beautiful blue planet. A living being. It's filled with life. It's filled with joy, filled with creativity. It all exists in this beautiful planet. And once you get that revelation that we are truly all one, we are all one. You're just another extension of me, another version of me. There is no separation other than what we create in our minds. And many of the astronauts, when they come back, they would be changed because they had a shift in their consciousness. And I invite you this morning into that same shift. Allow yourself to know that you're part of the whole. You're part of the one spirit, the one presence, the one power. And that you are safe. And that you are secure. And that you're taken care of. And that you're loved unconditionally as you are. Now, of course, when you come back to the planet, you look around, and a lot of people don't have that revelation yet. But if you can demonstrate it, you can model it, if you can be one who forgives, one who lets go and releases, one who gives care for your fellow human and sees the good in people. It's easy to see the negative agreements because we've made them with each other and with ourselves. We've made it all up that we're separate when we're really the same one family. Let's take a breath of that. If you have a loved one on your heart this morning, someone you know that you would like to pray for, I invite you to whisper their name aloud. We think of those that are in the hospital. We know that there are those who are in hospice. They're coming to the end of their life. There are those that are facing all kinds of things, even in our community here. How can I be a blessing? How can I be, I can pray. And that's always a good thing. And so reach out with those invisible arms and wrap your arms around your family, your friends, your spiritual community, and give them a big hug. Say, I love you, I bless you. I see your wholeness and your well-being. I see your prosperity. I see your joy. I see you living to your full potential. I bless you, and I'm grateful for you today. Thank you for being in my life, because you know a secret. You know that we are truly one body of God. So let us pray for our nation, for the healing and the revelation and the peace. Let us agree together to love each other, to care for each other, to bless each other. And let's extend that out to the entire world. Bring peace where there's confusion, understanding where there's lack. We give thanks. We give thanks. So I invite you, just like those beautiful monks are teaching us, just spend a few moments now in the silence and imagine the sacredness of all beings. And I invite you now to take this feeling, this sense, this awareness with you throughout your day today, throughout the week. We give thanks now in the name of the Christ and all that is sacred, holy.